Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Boss Method podcast. So, this is an insight into the Girl Boss Method program. And every week for the group, for our crew of lovely ladies, we meet together on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. and we work through any problems that they might be facing, any wins that they're experiencing, and we'll celebrate those, of course. But we also work on some education, and the education won't just cover things like, training or nutrition. A lot of it does actually cover lifestyle factors and mindset too. So for today's episode, we are going to be exploring the topic managing cravings and tips on how to keep them in control. So this was actually submitted by one of our members just today. They were talking about, or they opened up in the group and they were talking about how sometimes they find it difficult to control cravings, and they also wanted to know about any healthy alternatives. So what better time to try and get this member on board if she doesn't mind sort of talking and sort of telling us a little bit more about her experience. So we have Sugathri here with me today. Hi, Sugathri.
Hi.
So Sugathri, what is it specifically that you find is your problem at the moment?
I'm a bit of a sweet tooth, so I always crave a lot of sweet things, whether it's chocolates or like being Indian sweets or anything after a meal. I have to have something sweet, and sometimes I know that I go overboard and I tend to indulge more than I need to, and that obviously has a after effect. So that's what I struggle with at the moment. Mostly after a meal, I think during lunch or at dinner. I just feel like I need to have something sweet at the end.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so we'll discuss a little bit more about that. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, I mean, cravings can be, you've just sort of explained you've got a sweet tooth, that some people crave savory things. So that's especially when we're thinking about preferences and that sort of stuff. But if we have a look at why we have cravings, I've got lots of pictures up on our presentation today. For those of you that are listening on audio, you won't really get to see our slides, but for those of you that are inside the program, you'll obviously have full video access to all the trainings, including any slides that I produce for you guys, and you'll also have access to any like mini ebooks that we try and create on the service or on the topic. So firstly, we need to think about why we get cravings. So one of the first things that comes up, I find, for many people, I don't know if this is something that you've experienced, but I know that in the past I've had a trigger. And so although that might not sound like the same thing as a craving, it could be seen as something that makes us head towards that overindulgence. So, we've had the sweet thing, but now we don't know when to stop. So we have to look at triggers. Is it stress, boredom, emotions? Are there certain situations or even any specific foods that are creating or highlighting that trigger or getting that trigger? Once you can identify that trigger, we can then start to, unpick the situation and actually directly address them. So it doesn't mean to say that we're going to be addressing the specific food or maybe the craving that we're having towards the food and the fact that you're having an overindulgent. Is there something in the list that is creating that surge to overindulge? So I think we've spoken about this earlier this. We won't go into too much detail because obviously, we want to be mindful of, anything that we talk to as coach and client. It's completely confidential, but there could be something that has triggered it could be stress, so it could be, you know, a relationship with a best friend or a partner, or maybe somebody at work. There could be something, there could be stressful situations. Now, are those things happening often? Is it that you go straight for food when you think about those? Or on the flip side, what about boredom? And I think boredom's an interesting one, because I guess last week we kind of talked a little bit about this, about the act of sitting in front of the telly. You know, you're watching telly, and that's a bit like boredom. Don't really know what to do right now. I'm back from work. Work wasn't too hectic. It's 5 p.m. There was no traffic, schools are out, and don't really have any plans tonight. You know, perhaps dinner's already like prepped. You've got your dinner, you've prepped it. But you're starting to crave a little bit something more. So again, you know, we're kind of we're diving into boredom, emotion, stress, and that sort of thing. And do you find, Cigar3, that any of these, they do they sit with you? You know, is that something that you've been experiencing?
Yeah, I definitely do stress eat. I know that that's my habit that I'm trying to kind of work on. And also because I work from home majority of the days, I'm mostly sitting down and obviously dinner's prepped as well, then that kind of leads me to, right, I have nothing to do. And you're right in that sense that if you have nothing to do, you tend to go for food, I think, just to keep yourself busy. And I feel like I've done that lots of times before.
Yeah, yeah. And admittedly, I have as well. We're only human, you know. So I think firstly, having a bit of mindfulness about the situation. So second to this, we sort of then can start thinking about, maybe if it's not, you know, if we can't address the actual thing that's triggering us as such, is there anything else within that picture that we need to consider or manage? So drink your water and mind your business. It sounds so cheesy, but hydration is key, ladies. Sometimes thirst can, especially in this weather. So just for clarity, we are in the UK, we're in summer. It's bizarre. We've had so much rain and like cold, crappy weather, but all of a sudden we've been blessed with sunshine. And of course, it's turned up a bit too much. So, you know, our hydration needs are going to be a lot higher. And thirst can sometimes be mistaken for hunger, and also even like trigger some of those cravings. So it's just really important to stay hydrated. Mindful eating. So we talked a little bit about this last week, Cigar3, but paying attention to your eating habits. So again, making sure that, you know, if you live and you operate within a family, or perhaps you've got housemates and you guys all eat dinner around the same time, actually going through the act of sitting down and eating dinner. Can't remember the exact number, but I think it's something like 32 chews per bite. And if you actually try that, I did this during lockdown. I did it as a test because obviously we weren't moving as much, and I was doing home workouts and I was trying to take the longest single walk of the day. I had to consider my nutritional intake as well. And so I thought, right, let's actually go through and chew the food, like, you know, per the guidelines of 30 something times. And I'm telling you, you will soon get full and you won't be able to finish your meal. Now, that, I mean, if that isn't boredom, that would take you like, I think a meal that I eat in about 15 minutes, if I was to do that, it'd probably take me about 45. Terrible. But I think there's a lot to be accounted for, you know, in terms of eating slowly, savoring your food as well, especially, and there's so many lovely flavors depending on how you cook your food. Be present in the company that you're with, and also present while you're eating. And this is going to help you recognized, you know, in terms of that mindfulness, when you're actually satisfied and prevent you from overeating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one, which again, we've brushed on a few of these things already, but planning your meals and snacks. Okay. So again, perhaps maybe for you, Cigar3, you've got you know what you're going to have for your first meal of the day, and you know what you're going to have for the next one. And it's just, that perhaps that snack, that sweet snack, is had after your meal, and actually accounting for that when you're
Mm.
looking at your overall, let's say, for example, Cigar3 is starting to track, and that's just obviously to, create some understanding around things like macros and, energy intake. We have been looking at protein and calories as well. So it's just, planning those meals around that and allowing some space for those sweet snacks may help as well. You want to introduce or think about having nutrient dense foods. So you want to have foods that are, nutritious. So if you are, let's say you've got a grab and go lunch, and you pop to Tesco's, Sainsbury's, wherever you are in the world, and you just go and grab a meal deal. So you've got a packet of crisps, a sandwich, and a sugary drink. And look, it's not to say that you can't have those things, but if you were to prep your meals from home, A, you're going to save yourself a lot of money, and B, you are going to save yourself a lot of calories, especially if you are in that phase of your sort of fitness journey where you are looking at trying to reduce weight or encourage some fat loss as well. You want to maximize your nutrients in the right way. So you want to make sure that you're covering all bases. You've got your protein, your carbs, your fats, your fiber as well. And then we're also thinking about foods rich in vitamins and minerals. We want to satisfy and nourish our bodies. And these are the sorts of things that may reduce the intensity of these cravings. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about protein. So again, protein, the reason why it's so wonderful and it's such a great macronutrient, it's not to say that it's above anything else, but including protein in your meals or even in your snacks is going to allow you to feel more satiated. You're going to feel fuller for longer, and you're going to reduce the likelihood of you wanting to suddenly start craving things. So this is another reason why that sweet thing after your main meal is not a bad thing. It could be that perhaps maybe we need to look at the composition of that meal that's then allowing you to kind of spiral off, and then also look at any other triggers as well together. Sleep. Now, I don't know about you, Cigar3, but if you've had a crap night's sleep, like, how do you feel the next day when it comes to your hunger? Are you aware of any changes?
I think I tend to eat more when I don't get enough sleep, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's
Tend
really
to eat more junk food.
good. It's really good that you noticed that, because there is truth in that. So a lack of sleep is going to create like a dysregulation in your hormones, and you're going to especially so we've got these two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin I always liken to being like a gremlin. It's that hungry hormone, and leptin is that one that helps us feel more fuller and satisfied. Ghrelin is going to be rampant. It's going to be like there's a gremlin in your belly or just within you, and you're not, you're feeling highly emotional. You're gonna feel terrible because of the lack of sleep, and it's gonna have an effect on how you maintain your energy levels. So if we are feeling energy poor, we are more likely to kind of seek energy. So that's going to be filling ourselves with, whether it's caffeinated or sugary drinks, or extra food and foods that give us that comfort. So, it's just thinking again about sleep and prioritizing that sleep each night. And one of the ladies today, actually, Sagar3, you saw in the group, she asked for a training on sleep, and we've actually got one. And I'm so happy to revisit trainings, because I feel like when we have different people on the call, there's always different perspectives, and I think even for me, I might think of different things that I may not have the first time I present on a topic. So I think, if we need to look at doing another sleep course, then that might be something to consider as well. Also did a really good one on stress management. Did you see the one about stress?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so yeah, again, practicing stress management, and again, this is about thinking about alternative activities that we can engage in to help reduce that stress. Now, I had a really, what it's like for me. So for those of you that are listening, I also run a sister business, and I teach in-person Pilates, and I do some sports massage as well. So I have in-person clients as well. And Sagar3 actually came to me that way, started with her Pilates journey first, and then joined the Girl Boss program. So I was feeling quite tired and run down last Saturday. And I knew I had to go and do my training, get my training done, because believe it or not, motivation sucks. Even for those of us that are in this industry and speak about it all the time. So I went for a walk. I walked. So I went to my gym, my local gym, the one that I'm a member of. It's about a 25-minute walk. And I went for a swim. And I haven't had a swim in ages. And it was just so nice. And it was warmer. And I felt like that just created some decompression for me. And I just feel like just being in the water made me feel very free. I felt very refreshed afterwards. I actually went and sat in the sauna as well. They just installed a new sauna, so that was really exciting to do. And then just had, as I came out of the gym, hair's not dry, it's pretty much wet, and walking back home and having the wind hit me just felt like the best stress management that I could do for me. So again, it's also about taking time to consider how you're feeling, just because I've told you you need to go, or we've said to each other, Sagar3, that you need to go to the gym X amount of times. Some days it's not going to serve you, and there's always another option. There is always another way of, especially if you're stressed, of dealing with these things, and not punishing yourself and saying, right, I have to go to the gym, or and then going and then coming back, and then having that situation where you do start to overindulge, because that's going to be counterproductive. We want to reduce stress reduction, or harboring stress, believe it or not, it's going to increase your cortisol, and it's gonna make it harder for you to lose weight as well. So yeah. And do you know what else? Allow a little bit of what you like and avoid restrictions. So that's definitely something that I teach. I've always taught my clients. I've practiced it myself. Even in the days when I was competing in bikini bodybuilding, I always allowed a little bit of what I liked, and I did not go for restriction. Albeit, of course, the last few days or weeks in preparation of a competition might look a little bit different, but you ladies are not here to go and compete, right? You're here to just manage your lifestyles and just be like your best, to feel confidence, to own that confidence. So restriction, it goes out the window. And we practice mindfulness, mindful eating, we practice all these other things that are going to help us, but we definitely don't start excluding food groups unless you have a very specific condition, or maybe even belief system that means that you restrict. So for me, I'm a vegan. I don't eat any animal products. And I believe, Sagathri, you also have your own restrictions as well that you need to be mindful of. Other than that, we don't stop ourselves from having the cake. Okay. Oh, hang on. I always seem to go forward a slide. So I guess that's pretty much it from me, Sagathri. Was there anything that you wanted to like go back over, add to, talk about in a little bit more detail? Did this satisfy sort of the answers? Did they satisfy what you were looking for when you asked for a training on this topic?
Yeah, yeah. I think the hydration thing really stood out to me because I know some days I go without not even drinking enough a liter or 2 liters of water. And I think that's when, now that you've said it, I noticed that obviously I've mistaken that for hunger and then go for like chocolates or something else that I eat. So I definitely need to be mindful about getting more hydration in and drink more water, I guess.
Yeah, so should we talk about how to get the hydration in and how to monitor it? Is it on the days that you're working from home or the days that you're...
Yes, I would say because when I'm at work, I drink a lot of water. But at home, I do have my bottle next to me always, but I don't actually reach for it that often.
Could that also be that when you're at home, everything seems to be closer to you as well? And so, like, for example, when you are in a work environment or you're in the office, you will, to go to the bathroom, you have to get up out of your chair, you have to walk down a hallway, you have to walk down 7 sets of staircase, cross another hall, across a courtyard, and out another room. So the point is you're going to be moving more. So that's going to make you feel more thirsty, but also having that prompt to get out of your chair is probably going to make you do things like reach for the water, or you're in a place where it's probably not as comfortable as being at home.
Yeah, yeah,
Albeit at home, I know the thing is you probably end up doing a whole lot more work when you work from home just because the pressure is on. But there's more, definitely, from what I understand, a little bit more play or moving around different rooms, when you go out to work.
yeah. No,
So
definitely.
one of the things that we could do is potentially look at, do you have notifications on your phone when you are during working hours? Do you look at your phone? Do you get notifications, or do you keep them turned off? Like,
No,
whereabouts do you sit in that remit?
I do have notifications on. Yeah,
Okay, so perhaps maybe it might be worth us looking at some notifications for you to drink water.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
that would be really
yeah.
good.
I know it sounds crazy, but the beauty of my app is that I'm able to help give you more tools and to actually keep an eye on what you're doing as well. So
Mm.
definitely a good one there. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. And then also another one we could look at is maybe just, again, having some mindfulness around that water as well, and actually just thinking maybe, at the end of the day, or like, when you do your check-in, how much water did I actually drink? Did I have a good day that day? And maybe even thinking about the times of days, when you do find that you forget water. It could be that you're so busy in the morning that you don't actually have a glass of water until like midday.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
be
yeah.
really helpful.
Excellent. Well, guys, we're going to leave this training and this podcast episode. I'm definitely getting very, very thirsty. This is tends to be what happens when I just start talking, which I feel like I do all day, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I really hope to catch you guys on the episode again. And if you are interested in finding out what it's like to be a girl boss, to become a girl boss, then send me a DM on Instagram. You can find me at Richu Bra. That is spelled RICHUBRAR. And I'll be more than happy to help. And we'll catch you here next time. Bye.